A lot of the questions that were mentioned here, I think Murli has answered a lot of them. So I'll probably pick up a couple of things which are different from what was the main topic of the session. Just to give you a background, we started this business in 2006, and the birth of this happened like this. I was with Rabobank, and we used to interact a lot with small to mid-size companies, and we realized in India getting a debt is very easy. And increasingly, for companies to go public, it will become extremely tough. So how do entrepreneurs or the first generation guys build their business? It has to be built around equity. Until and unless we have an environment to provide equity to these entrepreneurs, they won't be able to grow. So we came up with this idea that why not we put together this small fund, basically invest in a lot of these entrepreneurs from an equity standpoint and help them to grow. So we raised our first fund in 2007. We invested in 13 companies. We raised our second fund last year. We've done 5 investments till date. But typically we are not angel investors or we are not venture capitalists. We don't invest at an early stage. We invest a minimum of 50 crores. So our ticket size is between 50 and 200 crores. So we would look to invest in companies which have already been in existence for 5 to 10 years, have proven their business model, have reached some size or scale, or are at an inflection point where with this infusion of equity, they can probably grow 5x or 10x in the next, over the next 5 to 10 years. And probably then look for an exit, either take the company public, or once the business has grown of a particular size and scale, do a strategic exit of those companies. Increasingly, we are seeing there is a huge amount of interest from the global fraternity to come and buy businesses in India. Starting for a global company to start something from scratch in India is extremely tough. We know what kind of environment we are dealing with. India is one of the most toughest place to do business, not just for you guys, even for people like Murli and us. 15 to 20% of our time just goes figuring out what the regulatory environment is, what the tax environment is. There's so much of uncertainty. It's just like shooting in the dark. You never know what liability can come up. Each one of us, given the kind of rules, laws, and regulations that are there, we don't know about it most of the time. And I'm sure most of us would have broken it in some form or the other, largely unintentionally. And, that's why the place is extremely tough, and we've seen a lot of interest from global players to come and buy businesses in India. So that is one thing, one opportunity that is there for most of the Indian entrepreneurs to start the business, grow it to a particular size and scale, and look to sell it to a larger place. I think some of the topics that I would like to capture is also based on the questions that some of you have asked. How do you go about building a business? Most of you guys have been entrepreneurs, have built business from scratch, have been extremely successful. Based on my experience, I have realized in India, we always try and compete to be the best. But globally, if you really look at examples, it is those companies who try to be unique or different from their competitors who remain successful for a long period of time. Now, if you are the lowest cost producer or if you are the best guy in the business, believe me, once you earn some profits, there are 100 guys looking at you and starting the same business the next day. And again, you will enter into a business which is extremely competitive. So day in and day out, you need to keep on working on ideas and thoughts, how you can be different, how you can be unique compared to the other players in the industry. And that, again, you have to keep on doing it every day. And that is how you'll be able to create value for all stakeholders, including yourself. We've seen so many businesses in India which have seen successes for a period of 3, 4, 5 years, and they've gone there, they have died naturally. So I think it's important that we look at creating, whether it's a brand or a business or whatever, about being unique in some form or the other. To give you an example, we've invested in a company called Parag Milk Foods. You must have heard of the brand called Go and Govardhan, the cheese, the cheese and the milk brand. We realized that in the Mumbai market, on the pouch milk side, if you have to do something, there is a huge amount of competition, whether it's Gokul, Mahananda, or any other product. So it's not possible for you to create any kind of differentiation. Then we decided to come up with a product called Pride of Cows, where the cow milk in this city is being sold typically at between 35 and 40 rupees a liter. Pride of Cows is being sold at 80 rupees a liter. And we are not able to fulfill the demand from a supply point of view, because the way we've created the product, in terms of its packaging, in terms of its uniqueness, the whole idea is that it's a milk which is extremely fresh. There is no human intervention, and that's how this product has been developed. So again, trying to be unique in some form or the other. Let's take the cheese today. The kind and the shapes in which the Go brand cheese has been put together is something which is first of its kind in India. Now the thing would be, if this company were to be successful for a long period of time, they have to ensure that they keep on innovating with newer and newer ideas every day if they have to be successful for a long period of time. Whether you as an entrepreneur or we as an investor, while we are investing for a period of 3 to 5 years, we'll only invest in those businesses which will be there till eternity. Because 5 years down the line, when we are looking to sell our ownership, the new investor who comes in would also need to have a 5-year view. So businesses that we invest in cannot have a 3 to 5 year view. It has to be much longer than that. I think someone here asked about dilution, right? What if the dilution goes below a particular percentage? I think in today's time and age, historically we've seen that, Indian entrepreneurs have been too much attached to the ownership and, didn't want to go below 51% or 76%. But increasingly, I think you need to first see what is good for your business. And then whether you own 51% in the company or 26% in the company, it does not really matter. Can you build a large, scalable, sustainable organization should be the priority number one, and then should come the ownership. We invested in a company called AU Finance in 2007-8. At that particular point in time, company's net profit, this was in 2008, the company was 100% owned by a gentleman called Sanjay Agarwal. It's a company which is based out of Jaipur. Company's profit was around 1 crore. It was a very small company at that particular point in time. This year, company will do 150 crores in profit after tax. And it's going to be the largest tax-paying company in the state of Rajasthan. Sanjay, from 100%, today owns only 30%. If he would have decided at that point in time that I don't want to dilute, I want to remain at 60% or 70%, probably the company would not have reached where it is. And the value creation that this company has seen in the last, when we invested in this company in 2007 or 8, we invested at a valuation of 40 crores. Currently, in this round, company is being valued at 2,200 crores. And if this guy would have decided to remain at a high ownership, probably he would not have got enough equity and he would not have been able to grow. So I think from an ownership point of view, while it is important, it's a sensitive issue, but I'm only trying to say, look at what is best for the business. And what is best for the business will eventually be best for you. Another thing that, when we started, honestly, when I started this firm in 2006 along with Motilal Oswal, which again is a first generation entrepreneurship story and a very successful one. I had no idea what private equity was all about. I came from a corporate finance background and didn't really have a private equity experience. So for 6 months thereafter, I just went around, met a lot of people in the industry and market, and got a sense of what this sector is all about. In the last 8-9 years, we've done 20 investments, and we've seen a lot of them. We would have evaluated close to 350 to 400 opportunities in the last 8-9 years, and we've ended up doing only 18 or 19. One area where we feel a lot of companies have gone wrong is misallocation of capital, right? Most of the first generation guys, when they start their business, and if you really see all the success stories around, you will see they start with very less capital in their hand. By and large, it's a poor country, and most of the first generation guys, someone started the business with 2 lakhs rupees, someone with 1, someone with 5, someone with 10. When they have less money in their hand, they're absolutely bang on as far as their capital allocation is concerned. They allocate the capital the right way. They work on their costs day in, day out, and that is why you see for the first 6-7 years, though there are a lot of struggles in the way, financially they have done exceedingly well. Once they have reached a stage, thanks to the investment bankers or the intermediaries, for the sake of their own fees, they will go and tell these entrepreneurs, sir, don't raise 50 crores, raise 100 crores, I'll get you. And in desire to raise that kind of a money, we also give into that. And once you have raised more money than what you actually need, there is going to be massive misallocation of capital. And believe me, your company will just die. So our biggest strength as a country has been whether when we were growing up, हम सब अभाव में पैदा हुए हैं, and that is our biggest strength, and that is how we should be. The moment we get more than what I need, I'll be a spoiled child. And this is what we have seen with many companies. We've done that mistake ourselves. We've invested in few companies where we wanted to put in more money than what the company required for our own greed. And we've seen that the venture has not been very successful. So I think it is very important for us to have a complete assessment of how much capital we need and then raise that kind of a money. In fact, there was a point in time when everyone used to say an entrepreneur is running his business very successfully, and he's making enough money. But the poor guy, the moment he got in contact with a private equity fund, his business started dwindling. So private equity शनि का प्रभाव लेके आ गया business में. But I think that is why. So when we try to invest, we don't tell the companies that we invest in that we are going to bring in any operating expertise as far as the business is concerned. We are investing looking at you. We know you know how to run your business the best, so we'll completely go by your gut instinct, experience, and capability. But one area where we can genuinely provide a lot of value is capital allocation. To ensure that we allocate the capital the right way, because misallocation of capital can be very fatal for any organization, whether it's large, small, whatever kind it is. And another thing is, most of these Indian, I'm moving away from this, going to a little bit of stock market. Many Indian, running companies, we don't like to pay dividend out. हमसे पैसा नहीं छूटता हाथ से. पैसा कंपनी अच्छी कर रही है, कंपनी ने अच्छा प्रॉफिट बनाया, लिए हमको डिविडेंड नहीं देना है. चाहे 75% हमारे जेब में जा रहा है, लेकिन 25% किसी और के जेब में जा रहा है, इसलिए नहीं देना है. Right? And that is why you see many of these large Indian companies, right? Take Reliance for example, where there is significant amount of wealth that is there. He will not pay dividend out, and he will invest in Reliance Retail. He'll invest in 4G, right? So it is and that is why if you don't need capital, your business has reached a particular size and scale, you've generated enough cash flow. If you don't have enough avenues to invest that money, just because you don't want to dividend it out, don't force yourself to look at opportunities where you want to put in money. because then you are going to defocus. So what typically we have seen, one particular stream of business is doing well, which is throwing a lot of cash flow. Now, because you've got enough cash flow and you don't want to dividend it out, with that money, you force yourself to get into some other business about which you have limited idea and knowledge. And when the capital misallocation happens there, when that business is struggling, your focus has shifted from your cash cow to the business which is struggling. So over a period of time, not only will you lose money there, even this business will go down the drain. So I think it's extremely important around allocation of capital. And that is why we force most of the companies that we invest in that we should look at allocating our capital the right way. I think it is also very important when we evaluate opportunities. A lot of companies that we've looked at, we used to see that, in the last 4-5 years, the margins, the EBITDA margins or the profit margins have been very low. And all of a sudden, they're saying the profit margins will go up significantly. And one of the reasons that is being given is because the company was 100% owned by us and we didn't want to pay taxes, so we were not showing the profits in our books. But now that you are coming, all of a sudden I'll become honest and start showing profits in our books. So I'm saying we should try to be above the board at all points in time. We like companies which are regular tax-paying company, which have paid taxes even when the investor was not there. And those are the kind of entrepreneurs that we would like to back. And I think more than the business in India, it is important that the quality of management, the quality of entrepreneurs is very important. So even if the business is not great, but somewhat good, but if the management is very strong, I think there are going to be enough backers as far as your business is concerned. I think last but not the least, my last point here is, again from a behavioral aspect, whether you are dealing with your investors, prospective investors or any other stakeholders, I think we need to move from a head I win, tails you lose, to a fair game of win-win situation. And I think if we can do that, we'll be extremely successful. I can share this with my own experience. Companies that we've invested in, which have been absolutely fair in their dealings all along with all stakeholders, have created significant amount of wealth. Companies which have been win-lose, kind of who've got win-lose kind of an approach, created less than 10% value of what that business could have created for them. So I think it's important that we move to a win-win kind of a situation. Thank you, everyone.